Jackson Dupont? The teacher called out. Here, the student replied. It was an easy scenario, an easy call and response. She'd done it 1,000 times in recruit training. RDC's calling out a midshipman's name, and the midshipman calls back Sir or Ma'am. Jason Linford? The teacher called. Here, the student replied. Here's the rub. This entire conversation had to be done in Shill. You spoke English, you got points docked. One of Mill's cousins had compared it to immersion teaching, and another called it an alien residency school. The teacher began. Milk sighed. I veen, Mum. Milk called out in heavily accented Shill. I veen, she slowly said, sounding her name out. The teacher nodded. I veen McDermott, the tall, purple-skinned woman called. Here, Milk said with a deep sigh. Even aliens couldn't get her name right after a few dozen classes. Sure, they weren't mandatory, but all the high-paying jobs required a fluency in Shill. Subtle. Milk was never one for languages. French evaded her and Irish was never her strong suit, but this mess with Shill brought it to another level. 16 different declensions, 21 tenses, but luckily no gendered words. Thank God. Cookie, the bastard, took to the language like a fish to water. He'd always been good at that sort of thing. Milk sat back, tapping her pencil against her notebook. Some of the other students in the class were using the fancy Xenotech Omnislate, but the rest of the peasants had to do with pen and paper. She was never one for sitting still. Lord only knows how she made it through the Naval Academy, but she did. All that stress, all those nerves, all those fidgets go away once she sat in WSOC though. It's been a year since her wings were clipped, and she couldn't wait to get back into the air. Cookie had found a career path flying supplies between nations under the short boot, but you had to be fluent in Shill to get that work. And then you had to have the interior do a full background check to make sure you wouldn't just fuck off with that plane full of supplies. Cookie was an optimist and had begun preparing his resume. Milk knew the moment the interior saw 773 on their ID. The bitch in charge would never let them touch anything more important than the screwdriver. Unless something big came along, she'd never fly again. Hello, we're reaching out on behalf of Local 773 about if you want to attend our union meet. A calm, cheerful female voice called out from the answering machine. Cookie deleted the message and leaned back. It's been 2 years since the riots, and these wannabe rebels were still calling them. Honestly, Cookie wondered if this whole thing was an interior sting-up at this point. It couldn't be hard to trace them. The perps already monitored his phone. Turns out Uncle Jeremiah Kennedy was a bit of a firebrand and tried to get a bunch of his constituents to riot and throw the unholy menace off our planet. Didn't work. But because of that, Ryan Kennedy, former combat pilot and USN F-18 driver, had a group of perp feds sitting in the next apartment, tapping his phone. Milk had taken to teasing them, trying to catch them up and flirting with them. Cookie didn't have the heart to tell her that the interior folks over there were just the decoy group to distract the casual insurrectionist from the much more stealthy group he noticed once during a cold flash. The door slammed open and there was Milk. The Irish redhead was almost carrying a very drunk Shilvanti as they giggled at each other. Cookie gave his WSO a look. I know what this looks like, she began. You know how thin our walls are. I've got work tomorrow and I can't be staying up till 3 because of you two, Cookie replied. Look, Cookie, I swear it's not like that. She's not gay, just very drunk and on leave. She needs an apartment, Milk said, almost begging. Just for a night. Cookie sighed, standing up and pulling cushions off the couch. Their apartment was a decent size. Kitchen, bathroom, living room, and 2 bedrooms. I'll make the bed, you get her into the bathroom. If she throws up anywhere other than the toilet, you'll clean it up. Milk gave a thumbs up before pulling the larger woman into the bathroom. Do you even know her name? Cookie asked after pulling the bed out. Something Campasar, she replied. She got an ass that won't quit though. Damn it, I hit on an unconscious lady. That's a sharp talk, Cookie called back with a snort. Check her ID to see if she has a CO to call. Milk almost sounded offended. No way, I'm not gonna knock on her. I ain't planning on being a blue falcon anytime soon. Tell them she ate some bad food and can't get a cab back to base. I don't want a perp SWAT team kicking down our door because the last thing anyone saw was the 773 lady taking a drunk Marine back to her apartment. Milk stuck her hand out at the bathroom to give Cookie the finger, and the Shorvanti lady did her due diligence to the porcelain throne. Soon after making sure the soldier didn't choke on her own vomit, Milk handed an emergency contact card over to Cookie, and the F-18 driver dialed the number on it. Patrol Wing Centerpieces medic speaking. Who fucked up this time? A Shorvanti voice called out from the other side, deeper than most voices. Cookie began before coughing. Right. We've got patrol pilot Santurai Kanvasar, passed out drunk in her apartment. He ratted off the address. She is currently on a fold-out couch in recovery position. Both of us are ex-military, so we've got the basic how to deal with drunks training. Are you going to send someone? There was a pause. Ali Tan's taint, not again. Not right now. Make sure she doesn't drown in her own puke. I'll send her wing commander to get her in the morning. There was another pause. You say you're military? Ex, Cookie replied. Used to drive F-18s before you folks blew my carrier up. Been grounded ever since. Huh, the medic mused. Look, you didn't hear it from me, but might want to drop that as your greeting. Don't know what you've seen for the info blackout, but the interior's been ramping up for something. Didn't know the occupying force is in the habit of giving out advice. You keep one of my pilots from drowning from her own bad decisions, I give you a heads up. Fair's fair. Cookie shrugged. Right, well, tell the officer to knock loudly. My roommate and I sleep deeply in actual beds. At 7 in the morning, the door was almost kicked down by a very angry-looking officer, who, when let in and pointed at the drunk pilot, ripped her out of the genuinely comfortable-looking sleeping position and started yelling. I don't even have a hangover and that hurts, Milk mused, watching the absolute glory of a chewing out in another language. The shill flew so fast and furiously, the pair could barely follow along, but every soldier knows the sound of someone being taken to task because of their dumb decisions. As the pilot replied with a, What? Commander? Is that you? The pair couldn't hold back their laughter, as the officer took a deep breath in and began to shout anew. 6 years into the occupation, the Empire decided to throw a parade. They said it was for the final integration of the Warutteri species, a group of aliens neither Milk nor Cookie had ever heard of before. But when Milk first saw one, she fell in love instantly. They're fuzzy, she said. Oh, I just want to bury my face into one of their... And that's enough of that, Cookie replied, pushing her back as she tried to scale his shoulders to get a better view. Turns out a 5'9" lad and a 5'8" lass aren't the best at staring over crowds. As much as I'd love to hear whatever degenerate fantasies you had regarding these new aliens, I'm more interested in seeing what they've got on display. I remember when I was on leave in Russia and I got to see one of their military parades. Never saw a mix dance like that ever before. Guess I won't ever again. Milk slugged him in the shoulder. Way to kill the festive mood. Looks like we got some gunships doing a swoop and all. Wonder if they fixed the floor? Cookie took one look and grinned. Nope, their ass is still wide open. Bet I could... Wait. He held up a hand to stop Milk's inevitable question. Do you hear that? Hear what? The buzz? Yeah. Do you think? Hope not, Cookie replied, looking around at Nup. The hair on the back of his neck stood up as his musically trained ears began to try and triangulate where the odd hum was coming from. And then it hit him. Or rather, the announcement did. In Shorvanti and then English, the announcer calling at the parade told the crowd to welcome to Earth the Empress's 1st Spear Interceptor Division, on parade. And 3 UFOs that could not be mistaken for anything but fighter craft roared over the city. The sleek craft flew without the familiar roar of turbofan engines, but the low hum and comforting crack of sound barriers breaking created a roar in and of itself. The crafts themselves were clean. Stubby, swept forward wings with empty weapon racks, a rotary barrel below the cockpit, and a pair of tail fins combined with his sleek body made the craft look like a death glider, an F-15, and an A-10's beautiful child. A vapor trail, and the faint shimmer of extreme heat shown in the glowing sun, as the trio of ships dove towards the ground before screaming upwards with a sharp turn and spiraling around like they were weaving a braid with their trails. It was glorious. Milk and Cookie were in awe. For 6 years, the only things these pilots had seen flying were gunships, cargo planes, and the occasional shuttle. But now they were witness to the dance of fighters once more. These craft flew in and out of the clouds, turning on a dime, and shooting around the buildings in a mock chase as the announcer spoke of the pilots' feats of skill and daring. But the clipped-wing pilots had no ears for the words of mortals, for the skies called them once more, and once more their path was clear. Whatever it took, no matter how much they needed to sacrifice, no matter who they had to turn their backs on, these aviators would take wing once more and soar. "Repeat after me," the recruiter said, gesturing for Milk and Cookie to stand. "I, your name here." "I, Eileen McDermott." "I, Ryan Kennedy." "Do so swear as citizens of the Empire." "Do so swear as citizens of this Empire." "To serve the Empress, to uphold the law, and to act with faith and honor." "To serve the Empress, to uphold the law, and to act with faith and honor." "May the goddess strike me down if I err." "So help me God." "Good. You have a week to pack up and close up any business you may have before you'll be required to report to the spaceport for transport to training. Welcome to the Empress's Patrol Interceptors." The recruiting officer shook Milk and Cookie's hand before bidding them farewell. It had been 6 years since the invasion, since Milk and Cookie had been captured by the enemy. 6 years since their wings had been clipped. And in the next week, they will be getting their wings back, however slowly. "Bet the basics, eh, Cookie?" Milk asked with a grin. "Think it's easier the second time around?" "With you driving backseat? How could I ever fail?" Cookie replied with a smile.